Smart
Halo,
drafting from
malam
RRQ
semua
Hoshi, right?
guys.
I mean, we got to see AP Brin. They were favoring the
Ini
CC in majority
kita
of their games so far in Game of
live lagi ya
Futures.
guys.
So
Ya,
they went ahead and took it away from them inside of this
kita
first pickup.
live
And then to top it off, we kind of look at their band so far. They banned out the
versus
Navaria, one of the
AP
hottest picks
Brand.
so far over there for AP Brin. And taking that off the board is going to kind of limit some of the heroes that we've seen them shine on so far in Game of Futures 2024. But there's still another pick out there. That was the Fairness being slotted up. So they will have that sustainability that they're looking for. And then some good frontline composition as well, as they are going to lock in the box.
Oke.
Yeah.
Bisa.
Very interesting choice here for AP
Ini
Brin going
mainnya
in straight
tengah
for
malam
the
kali
utility
guys,
jungler.
soalnya beda
Obviously,
jamnya
the
sama
Nolan
Rusia.
is joins out, but their choice now is go for what works, right? So we're not yet over the phase of the utility junglers. We're not over the Fredrin, Baksha, Martis triangle that we have. As long as Joy and Nolan both banned out, there's really no other merit for teams to go for non-utility junglers. Now, one hero that is very important here is the Faramis. Because you already opened up with the CC, that means that you can have access to other XP laners that can actually take down the HP bars of this Faramis or the extra HP from the ultimate. But Lilia is a great answer. And this is really such a Vren pattern. Like, pick up the Lilia, match up against the Faramis. We're all back in the M5 meta. It's just that CC is on the table.
Yeah, and CC definitely being on the table is going to create some problems. Now,
ini
looking at AP Brin, I mean, they got sustainability, they have the crowd control, they
Oh.
have mobility provided from Boxy as well, and some great, strong frontline compositions. We're going to have to see who they put in as a marksman now. Speaking of the marksman, we've been seeing Super Marco kind of dominate. He's been running the Claude, the carry. Yeah. We also got to see him on the Brody with some great gameplay. All three of these heroes inside of his hands are a problem, and we'll need to have some answers. But speaking of answers, they're going to throw some more CC and sustainability into the mix. AP Brin picking up the Ruby. Now, that's definitely going to be something that could give RRQ Hoshi a problem.
This is a hero that can step into the bush, maybe tank some of the blooms coming up from Lilia, although not fully. Doesn't really care about pokes. Because if you're looking at RRQ Hoshi, right, just the two heroes, CC as well as Lilia, they have a lot of range, but they're not the burst.
Aku mah di Sulawesi jam 2 guys.
That for the Lilia, if you said
jam
properly,
1.05 ke jam 1.50 ya. Yang jelas di sini
or the archetype
beda 1 jam sama di
Poke,
Jakarta.
right? Maybe the only steer coming out from RRQ is the Tyroth, which makes a lot of sense against the Baksha. But if you're looking at AP Brand, because they're a sustained lineup, pokes will not work. Maybe RRQ Hoshi will look for big bursts from their marksman now. So maybe they closed this out with a carry, for example, or somewhere along the lines of a Nathan, actually, which I'm not entirely sure if RRQ Hoshi have played or mastered before, but it is a hero that you can actually put here against the composition of AP Bren. Because it's a Faramis plus the Ruby, as well as the Baksha, you would assume that this could be a front-to-back kind of composition coming up from AP Bren.
Yeah, definitely could be a strong answer. I mean, the only other marksman that we haven't seen, actually that we haven't seen, I would say really Mage, but ran in the gold lane position. We did see them pull out the Hareth. A lot of teams have been banning that away from them. And I don't think it would be the worst option to be able to pick up here. So I wonder if they're going to kind of ban that out. We are seeing the Minotaur, though, taken off the table. I mean, I think that's a good answer, especially with the Diggy not being banned out. It could be some great CC that could give AP Bren a problem. I mean, considering they are running the Faramis, so they're going to have to be kind of stacked together in these engagements to be able to profit from that Nether Realm. But speaking about profiting, right, we're still yet to see who they're going to be running in the gold lane positions from either side. Now, we know the staple marksmen that are usually kind of picked up is that Claude, is that Brody, which just got banned out. A possible Clint on the way for
Saya
AP
minumnya
Bren
sengaja
could
pas
be a
baru
viable
live gini
answer. All of
biar
these
bisa tahan sampai
have
selesai.
definitely been
Kalau saya
some problems.
minum
And I
obatnya
wouldn't
dari
just say
tadi
for
itu
just these two teams, but
udah
overall,
tidur
just
saya.
one of the most highly
Bangun-bangun
picked
udah
marksmen
selesai
in
RRQ
Futures
main.
2024.
Kita nggak jadi restream
For
lagi.
sure. And that could be a priority now for
Soalnya
Maybe
cuma
they pick up their marksman up
restream
because they
gini
wanna keep
guys.
the rubies,
Turnamen itu yang
from Rome
penontonnya
as well as
lumayan loh.
EXP. Maybe they snatched the Nathan actually, because it makes a lot of sense against CC, in a way against this Lilia, because you can really dodge that so easily, and then it's a hero that is okay if there's like poke from the other side. But instead they go Paquito instantly from AP Bren. That confirms the Ruby from that's going to be the roam role here. RRQ Hoshi needs a little bit of burst type of marksman, right? So they banned the Brody. Maybe they go carry, but carry is generally not the hero against a Faramis. So I'm thinking like Beatrix or Nathan, actually, from RRQ Hoshi.
I'll throw one more at you. Maybe even throwing in the Bruno may actually slide in here. They've definitely been kind of going in on that, and I wonder which way it's going to go. I think burst potential is definitely what they need, especially against a strong frontline composition. I mean, you have the Ruby, the Baxia. Oh my goodness.
Layla. Skylar. Pick Layla lagi.
Caster on the desk. That's what's going on. $1 million
Apa artinya ini Bang Tun?
No. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that they'll do it against Bread. But
apa artinya pick Layla lagi nih Skylar?
It is a great laning. Generally against most marksmen, just because of the range. And then they go Kufra. Alright, so they force RRQ Hoshi to really dig into the bag of tricks of Brusco.
Artinya late game lagi kayak nih Bang Tony.
Later on. Look at AP Brent's last 2 bans. It's Haka Brusco. They're minimizing what Brusco can play, forcing him to go for the Kufra. And then the Kufra is not necessarily a bad hero, but it doesn't really give anything in the mid lane. It will not protect the Lilia. It will not force out the Faramis because they're going to be safe. And then the Ruby is just able to scout out where Kufra is. That's the thing with the Ruby, right? So you can mirror where the Kufra is, and the Kufra can't do anything. Like, cannot initiate because you'll always be in front of that Kufra. There's the Clint, as you've mentioned. Better range against the Layla just because of the passive. Definitely a lot more outplay potential compared to the Layla. And very strong when it comes to team fighting in the early stages of the game. Massive chance for them to take this. So this is actually a pretty good draft between 2 teams. I'm excited to see what the Layla can bring to the table.
And I'm just as thrilled as you are. We didn't get to see that last pick for what they're going to slot against the Layla in the gold lane. You know, when I tried to guess the last time, that's when the Layla came out. We don't know yet. As we're going to jump to the Land of Dawn, we'll definitely let you guys know. But nonetheless, we're up for a great match in today's first series of the day, stepping into the virtual arena. We are in the semifinals for Game of Futures 2024. We're going to be seeing Indonesia up against AP Brin, holding the banner from Indonesia and holding the banner for the Philippines. The last Filipino team standing so far as Blacklist was knocked down. Will we be able to see AP Brin push on forth to the grand final? Or will we see RRQ Hoshi rise to the occasion?
Gonna be close. Is this how Bren defeats his former team? Right? Is it the Layla that we will see in this particular matchup that eventually overcomes AP Bren? We'll be able to find out. For now, I'm looking at the matchups in all of the lanes. First off, Clint versus Layla. I gotta say, like, maybe it's still Clint favored, like if it's a pure 1v1, just because of the passive. And that's always been the case for Clint. He can win the laning stage just because of the passive. And I'm sure that Super Marco is pretty much able to be adept with that hero. Now we're looking at the other end. It's Paquito going up against the CC. Now this is like very tricky. It still is matchup based, but I gotta say it's probably is CC favored in a way that it's easier for the CC to duel against the Paquito. It's not a win per se, but it's a much easier for that one. But now Few.
Yeah, it's going to rush a little bit of damage in the mid lane. I love how you kind of broke down some of these matchups, right? I mean, when we're looking at the Layla, we know it's a really late game damage dealer that can close the game out if you let her kind of get those items. And also, I always like to call it a glass cannon, right? Very squishy in the beginning, easy to kill if you can dive. And that should be a focus for AP Brin if they do want to shut down Skylar. Because, I mean, we all seen how this played out before, right? So can AP Brin be the difference and not have the same thing happen to them? As you are seeing a big clash in the mid lane, not able to connect with the Abysm Strike, but some early aggression from RRQ Hoshi.
Yeah. We haven't really talked much about this Darath, but I do like this pickup. Third pick coming up from RRQ Hoshi. After the Baksha was already revealed, they're confident enough to go for the jungle Darath, which we know is a direct answer to the Baksha, right? So it has
ini turtle pertama ke guys.
Counteract the sustain that you can get
Kayaknya
from
baru
Baksha, and
turtle pertama
there's
ini.
no hero from AP Bren, even the Ruby, that can stay in front of that Darath.
Total level 4. Wah, Irat mati sih.
Speaking of staying in front of things, everybody fighting it out in front of the turtle. Does
Oke, ulti Paramis udah pop out. Pop
trying
up.
to keep the team alive. Few being able to
betul
proc. Ogwin will find Irad.
Berarti
Does take
free
down the
turtle ya
we were just
buat
talking
akun
about. Meaning RQ Hoshi will not have the retribution, and the first objective will go to AP Brin.
I can see AP Bren, after the vengeance was popped from Banana, immediately they just, they dropped it like it's a very hot plate. And then they went in back for the Faramis ultimate, which allowed them to eventually take out Irad. And after the dash from the Dairoth, that is the main weakness of the hero, by the way.
Tarik, mati
No
kah?
immediate
Mati.
dash afterwards.
Kena
Oh
combo.
my god, that's the problem. You don't... That's the
Tuh
problem
skill
with
1
Kufa, right?
ulti
It doesn't really
Blin
actually
itu
protect
sama
teammates
pasifnya tuh sakit
anymore.
banget guys.
Especially if you start the fight with the
Terus
jump.
Blin sama Lela kan
Kind of
sama
calls
jauh,
the base in the
sama-sama
hole that they need to
jauh
look
sih.
out for. The Kufra could be a possible problem
Itu untuk
trying
hero
to protect
laki-laki
Skylar.
terjauh
It's a
tuh
great setup
Blin.
from Ogwen,
Kalau
really
hero
down defending.
marksman perempuan
A lot of
tuh
chain CC from that Ruby and also
Layla.
sustainability to stay alive when that
Tapi
play is
masih
trying to
paling
burst
jauh tuh
him
Layla.
down. With Super Marco taking up
Cuma
that kill,
kalau
Ruby
tambah
could have had a
pasif
slight
tuh Blin
advantage.
jauh.
You know, he's trying to kind of scale a little bit better than the Layla.
Layla
Like
kalau
you
mau
mentioned,
menjauh
if
tuh
they
harus
can
skill
take down
satunya kena
Skylar in
dulu.
the early phase, this is where you see the glass cannon of Layla kind of break down.
Golnya langsung selisih
See the
2000
Ruby
guys,
as well coming
jauh
up
ini.
from Ogwen, not even needing the flicker in that moment. That's
Ogwen
gonna be hurtful for
flicker udah
RQOC, but
ready.
that's
Tadi
also something that
Skelar
Brusco has to learn
kena
now. He has
tarik itu
to
tanpa
really
buang flicker
delegate
si
himself
Ogwen.
and his skills to
Oke,
save his
Okta buang
teammates and
flicker
not
nih.
initiate for now, because they don't have that license to start the fights. Maybe if they have the conceal already, that's when they can probably make a play out of the Kufra. But for
RRQ
now,
yang mau main
the duty
lagi ya,
as this Kufra from Brusco is just for protecting the
soalnya
teammates.
Pebren tuh
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of protecting teammates, I mean, we did see it go to a 30-minute game the last time RQ Hoshi had the Layla. So even though they were kind of getting a lot of objectives taken from them and having a hard time, they were able to still sustain themselves until Skylar got all of those items necessary, and then he was able to get the game winner to close out the game. So AP Bren, even though they have the slight advantage, 2 kills up, we need to see them kind of close it out.
Si Rat juga nggak main assassin, jadi mau colong turtle-nya nggak bisa, mobilitasnya nggak cepat kalau di Rat.
And then that's when Skylar came alive. But right now, AP Bren sitting really good in the early phase of things.
If you look back 20
Layla bisa dikena burst juga nih sama flap TC.
Paku
itu kan.
Rotation wherein they went in for the
Kita
crab.
pas ulti
Gave it to Super Marco.
mati sih Okta, ditempel gini. Nggak ada flicker, oke di backup sama Erat. Oke, view-nya Paramis sudah ulti. Banana mati sih. Oke, masih bisa bertahan, ada Vengeance. Free turtle lagi ya buat nih.
And that's actually what Brusco needs to be doing.
Nggak bisa.
Imagine if
Telat guys.
he initiated first
Irad
and
ditarik.
have defended his teammates.
enggak.
However, Irad wanted to go for the play when there is still the Faramis ultimate. And unfortunately for RQ Hoshi, this is the power spike for AP Bread. When you have the backshot that at the
Wah,
first
mati
arrow,
itu. Mati itu Ogwen. Mati itu.
Waduh.
Waduh. Konsil dia.
From Skylar. You're already seeing how heavy of a hitter that Layla can be. Irad try to
Irad,
close the distance.
Irad tahu sih,
A
Irad.
business strike on the Super Marco, but now hit with the stun. Kyle
Irad.
Teasy hiding the damage, slowing
Wah,
him
ada
down.
Paramis
trying
di
to get a pick
belakang.
off. Down he goes. Few will take down Irad on the aggressive
tower sih harusnya.
back lane play.
Sekarang sih
That'll
mereka
be
nggak
3 kills on the
akan
board.
berani maju lagi tuh. Ogwen sama yang lain.
and Irad just overheating up top.
Nggak apa-apa.
You understand why he went for that play. He knows that Super Marco is there, but Ogwen, even with just a quarter HP or even less, he went for the heads-up play to stun Irad so that Super Marco will be able
Layla
to
ini
attack
dia
for a bit,
harus
maybe lifesteal a bit,
main
get out
betul
into
sih.
safety.
Ini RRQ
Then
harus
Kyle Teasy
bisa
jumped into the
tahan.
fray. That one
Lilia
weird
kuat
interaction
kok.
is that Brusco
Lilia tuh
didn't
kuat.
immediately jump with the Tyrant's Revenge. He waited for far too long, and that might have been the reason why Irad actually did not survive that. If because he's already in range, right, to stop his teammate, but that costed them a death on Irad. So sometimes those trade-offs, even if you maybe sacrifice your life as the Kufra, you're gonna be way better off if Irad survived that play. So that is something that really is gonna be the dilemma for RQ Hoshi.
Speaking of dilemmas, we kind of talked
Wah,
about
sakit banget tuh Super Marco. Memang ini clean nih, skill satu pasif nih.
Putting some discomfort in the gold lane.
Iya, soalnya kan skill pasif sakit banget guys.
They found a kill
Awas
on Skylar and they were also able
konsil tuh
to
Ruby.
extend the gold lead for their marks.
Wah, tarik guys, mati sih Skylar.
But speaking
udah ditempel gitu nggak bisa apa-apa Layla cu.
And you are seeing the chase on a Brusco flap teasy. Gonna hit him with the heavy left punch. That is gonna be 2 more kills for the
Mau
side
tukar
8
turtle.
and now
Nggak
a
bisa sih.
4,000 gold lead.
Rotasi pemain Filipina itu cepat, lihat.
It's gonna bite him, and even Octa has to run away for now. And they're gonna be going for the turtle. I think this is
Nice, Irad masih dapat.
Irad. Okay.
Turtle pertama nih. Tapi
Okay.
golnya udah selisih 4
mechanic.
kasih. Layla mati, tower
Working
bawah
on
juga
it.
dapat.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, while they got
Banana,
the on the bot side, though, you did see Flap TZ take that tier 2 turret. So they have map control for the inside AP Brand and also a great gold lead. Even though they didn't claim that turtle, I would still say overall that's a better trade for them, which is how far ahead they are for RRQ. They need to start translating some of these objectives in their favor, right? Maybe opening up the map would be a great start, because I don't know if AP Brand's the type of team that's going to let them take it to a 30-minute game like this.
Yeah, AP Brand is known to go for the
naik lagi bitrate-nya, turun
like in the movie.
Padahal tengah malam loh, harusnya jaringan bagus.
Definitely what AP Brand is trying to do almost all the time, especially the way that they're drafting. And then you really have to commend
Scalar sepatunya baru
their
jadi.
previous rotations. Like every rotation, be it micro or macro rotation, benefits.
Wih, apa maksudmu retri beta midi? Nggak boleh gitu. Jadi maksudmu retri yang toko Indo April nggak bagus gitu. Parah men.
If you compound all of those
parah men, Babang Setiawan Tony.
Really just dominating the map afterwards. Then after this before the turtle fight, they moved in a way that they were able to poke RQ Hoshi, they were able to poke Octa.
Konsil Banana mau di all in.
Can push easily. Another play.
Di all in kan?
Yeah, big play on the way. Supermarket will find Banana. They
udah konsil gitu tadi pasti
all in mereka mainnya. 5-man team to be able to take him down. Used a lot of utility though, but was able to extend that kill lead now 6-2-0. I mean, this gold is steady climbing. They're up by like 6,000 gold now. 3 turrets in, 2 above RQ Hoshi. RQ Hoshi has yet to find a kill so far in this entire game, as we are hitting that 10-minute mark. A little bit of a struggle in today's matchup. But like we said, RQ Hoshi, when they pick up the Layla, they're banking on the late game. We know we're going to lose a little bit in the early phase, in the mid phase even, but if we can hold off, they can turn this around. But AP Bryn, like you said, going straight for the head, cutting the head off the Serpent. What they're looking to do, trying to shut him down. You are going to see big setup though. Banana taking the half HP.
Terus Paramis bisa ada ulti lagi, lihat. Waktu itu sakit banget guys. Tuh burst damage gitu. Free turtle ya, Andular. Okta ditempelin Pew tuh. Wah mati, hampir mati kena Papi sih. Udah buang flicker juga. Ya kalau sekarang itu beda gol nggak ngaruh, cuma kalau sudah leading jauh. Matikah? Backupnya cepat kali guys. Scalar jadi 0-3-0. Ini selama tower RRQ ini masih bisa tahan ini yang di base turret nih, masih kuat kok. Soalnya minion sekarang tuh diperkuat guys. Super minion sekarang tuh kuat banget.
Well, they have to regain the tempo at the very least. Second, if they can't do that, the only other option here is to just survive this mid game. Just make sure that you don't lose your base. Maybe try to win when everyone is locked 23 minutes. But that's very difficult to do.
Yeah, definitely going to be a challenge. Destruction rush going out from Skylar, trying to clear those minions. Not even enough damage to do that. Down goes the tier 2 turret in the mid lane. And now you're looking at RRQ Hoshi stripped down to their inhibitors.
Bagus mainnya. Dia belum pernah mati. Dia save sekali main.
Difficult now for RRQ Hoshi for sure.
Okta kuat.
I gotta say there was this
clear lane kuat Lilia.
Did again in the mid lane where
ini kalau udah late game ini Lilia clear lane,
but already Flap TZ is pushing that
Layla yang
is already position in that bush near the mid lane. So that left side.
Cuma bedanya ini
that's why even after the initiation,
apa namanya, Banabot ini dia nggak main factor yang ada CC-nya guys, jadi nggak ada yang backup Layla. Kalau kemarin kan yang backup Layla juga kan, selain tanknya, selain Brusco, Banabot juga.
In that specific case, like look at the bush that CalTZ is holding. When somebody shows himself in the mid lane, it's an ambush, right? So nobody from AP Brand is ever alone. They will not make the play that looks like they're isolated. This is the championship
lihat minionnya ditahan
that you're seeing. They have plans
sama AP Brand
every time that they're trying to move.
Nggak di clear, mereka tahan minion, takut Layla jadi.
RQ Hoshi picked up the Layla of Skylar, and the problem was Days Volts was not able to close the game out, even with this massive boost in the economy and the objectives overall on the map. But AP Brand, letting the world know, hey, we are the champions and we planned to let it stay that way. As they are going to go in with the concealed play. Kyle TZ initiating onto RQ Hoshi. Double stun. Black TZ will find Irad.
Oh, masih selamat Brusco. Berarti Irad doang
ya. It
looks
looks like RQ Hoshi will be forced back into the base. AP Bryn in total control.
Wow. 10-0. And the grip is not loosening at all. You can see RQ Hoshi being desperate for farm. They're trying to do everything that they can just to get the farm. And all things considered, Irad might have gone for the only play possible. Yeah, obviously he died, but then again, Abren knew exactly that will happen. And now Lord fight, no retribution for RQ Hoshi.
Yeah, Brusco winding up, decides to hit a quick 180. Wasn't able to find the opportunity. Skylar trying to get the steal, unable to connect with the destruction rush. AP Bryn will claim this Lord, and a body
meskipun
Brusco will take down Brusco. I would call that a 2-for-none
golnya
trade.
selisih 12 kali, guys.
Right now, we haven't seen RQ Hoshi really take any objectives.
Berani mereka.
No kills.
All in.
And so far, it's been more of a reaction.
Kenapa aku itu sama Clean itu hilang ya bentaran?
Just controlling the tempo.
You nailed the right term for RQ Hoshi. Yeah, they're reactionary, heavily reactive. They're not making the heads-up play, right? They're not making a play. That's what I'm trying to say here for RQ Hoshi. They're always just reacting to what AP Bryn is doing, and that is how you know a team has controlled the tempo, right? So whatever is happening to RQ Hoshi right now, it's not entirely their fault. It's AP Bryn just forcing them to be in that spot. AP Bryn are so active, and they're taking control of the tempo so quickly.
Yeah, speaking about taking control, stepping into the base for RQ Hoshi for a possible early finish. AP Bryn trying to seize the opportunity, but the Lord is getting bursted down.
Menit 20 nih RRQ kuat. Kalau bisa bertahan sampai menit 20
it is now 15 minutes in, getting to that 15-minute mark. Like we said, the later the game goes, the better it'll be for RRQ Hoshi to be able to turn this around. When the nature picked up from Super Marco, definitely getting ready to kind of take that fight and negate the physical damage, as you are seeing them possibly go in to try and take some of these remaining inhibitor turrets.
Banana mau dive in juga ke belakang incar si Super Marco susah guys. Kalau gol bentaran mati si Banana.
Even in the latter portions of the game, even in the late game, surely the win of nature for Skylar will be key.
Masih mending Bennett sih picknya.
But imagine in a refresh.
Setidaknya ada imun skill 2. Bisa belakang juga damage sedikit pakai petrify kabur lagi kan.
Yeah, it's gonna be very hard, right, for the side of RQ Hoshi to turn this around. I mean, Brusco off to a rough start, not really able to find the opportunities for the sets he's looking for. And it's gonna be a challenge, especially going against Augment on this Ruby. I mean, even
kalau dia bisa bertahan di menit 17-18.
A group setup.
17 lewat 18 itu
provide a little bit of change
bisa sampai
to kind
menit
of stop
20
him in his tracks.
Ada chance.
And I feel like that's a little bit of the struggle we've been seeing so far for him to be able to get those setups that RQ Hoshi is baiting for.
Yeah, I'm coming up of ways for RQ Hoshi to come back from this game. The number one option obviously is just to rely on the late game of Layla, which is
lihat pinter banget Bren guys, nggak mau naikin minion.
If you think about it, I mean that's their only way. There's really no other way for them to win this game apart from really depend on Skylar and his immense amount of damage in the late game. So how do they get to that point? My magic number is
minion aja nggak mau dikasih.
Everybody's just farmed out. Everybody's just locked item. And it wouldn't matter if you lose one inhibitor.
Lihat mereka, meskipun leading goalnya jauh, disiplin banget kan jaga lore-nya tuh. Berlima jaga lore-nya.
Reach you into that late game because you have wave clear. Then again, will AP Bryn allow that? Because so far, AP Bryn, they have now the luxury to go for Banana.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and do the banana splits. Super Marco taking him
down.
Udah
pasti di all in gitu. Udah bilang, yang maju sendiri pun siapapun itu kena all in. Mau tank siapa. Lihat aja tadi Ogwennya, dia langsung ke belakang kan. Potong. Biar nggak bisa kabur. Ini kalau RRQ bisa tahan nih lore ini, menit 17. Ada chance.
Didn't have to really look into
kalau
it, knowing that there's a lot of catch from AP
wah
Bryn.
sekali combo aja skill satu pasif
and you have Ogun with the flicker and Flap TZ.
Ruby masih ada ulti
with
flicker
only
lagi.
one legitimate dash. So
Skylar
really questionable play coming up from
bukan
Banana
purif dia makanya flicker.
Yeah, and AP Bryn holding the banner for the Philippines, trying to find their first game of the day up against Indonesia RRQ Hoshi.
Okta ini kuat banget tahan lane-nya guys. Dia belum pernah mati.
That Lord to hold off AP Bryn from closing closing out this game a second time. Mentioned that 23 mark being the time that we are going to be looking to for RRQ Hoshi to have the damage necessary with all the late game items for Skylar to turn this around. Trust in Layla, the $1 million baby in the scenes, could make the difference.
AP Bren are going to be disciplined once more. I want to keep this 12-0 love set as much as possible.
Sekarang mereka nggak bisa tahan minion, guys. Udah super minion semua. Tetap kedorong.
They were able to keep Skylar safe. That's always going to be the case. And like I said,
sekarang mainnya nggak tahan minion lagi. Sekarang mainnya mereka team fight ambush.
But now, Kaltizi wants to fight.
Wow, ketangkap kali ini, guys. Nice. Oke, ultinya Paramis udah. Siapa tuh paling depan? Wah, si Irat. Wah,
is gonna go ahead and shut down Irad, leaving Skylar and Banana, the side laners who've been dealing so much damage in Game of Futures 2024 by themselves. AP Bren, Kyle Teasy
dikasih 0 loh, bikin malu loh. 17-0. 16-0.
Looks like he won't be able to contest. They're just gonna let him get out of there. He's not gonna be able to
17-0 guys, bikin malu cu.
Still will get the kill in a full wipeout.
Wah.
Against RRQ Hoshi. AP Bren takes game number 1.
That is a clinic from AP Bren. This is how you win as a team. Absolutely perfect.
Streamer lain gimana ya reaksinya?
Even their
17-0 guys.
On those crabs just to allow for Super Marco to have extra.
Nih kalau kalian baca komen nih liar banget.
Up against his matchup. And they played out the draft really well. This Clint, the last pick coming out from AP.
Udah ada keluar nih, friend out, scalar out. Lihat aja tuh. Nanti udah banyak pasti rame pas dari apa game tadi tuh. Ngapain pick Layla? Lihat aja nanti. Keluar semua tuh kata-kata kotor tuh.
Behind enemy lines. You can see Brusco just charging up far too late, and that allowed Few to catch up. Few was able to take out Irad, and these indecisions coming out from RRQ.
Kenapa gue bilang ini susah pakai scalar di sini, pakai lilanya susah itu tadi karena banananya bukan hero cover. Kalau kemarin kan banananya pick Ruby, jadi selain dari tanknya Brusco kan, ada Ruby juga yang backup. Ini yang bisa backup Layla cuma Kufra doang.
Majority of the turrets with little to no problem. Like you kind of mentioned in the beginning of things, RRQ Hoshi was very reactionary, just letting AP Bren dominate, and it didn't really build up to a turnaround that they were looking for. And I think they were kind of banking on AP Bren playing a little bit similar to Deus Volt, not being able to close it out toward that before that 23-minute mark, looking for that power spike. But unfortunately, that plan did not work in their favor, and AP Bren letting the world know, hey, we're the world champions. We're the last team standing for the Philippines. Ain't no way we're letting the Layla take us out.
I can see the last play of the game for AP Bren a little bit from now. And they kind of smelled that RRQ Hoshi overstayed outside their base just for, what, 10 or 15 seconds? And already punishing them for that. Even after some of the defense from RRQ Hoshi, even before the fight broke out, I already know that this is going to be a bad decision from RRQ Hoshi. And what I'm trying to say here is, at this point, 18 minutes, there is no license for RRQ Hoshi to get out of their base. They're basically quarantined inside their base, and they don't have the pass from the government to let them out. That's exactly what they should be thinking during that moment. And it only took one sniff from both Ogwin as well as Kaltizi to know that, okay, they're out of their base. This is our opening. And that's exactly what happened. AP Bren destroying and outplaying RRQ Hoshi just because of the fact that they're as well as they have the better tempo control. They knew exactly how to deal with this composition, and they've punished duly. Our MVP is Super Marco, and I mean, we cannot really contest that. He played so well in this game, very much on point with his laning as well as his positioning and the damage dealt as well from this Clint.
And some great setups to get him to that MVP over there from Ogwin on the Ruby. to make that possible. I mean, look at Ogwen right there. His stats are on the board, 11 assists. But I got to give credit to Few and Kyle Teasy as well, as they were right behind Ogwen, just showing you how much synergy AP Brin has compared to a lot of other teams. You mentioned RQ Hoshi, newer on the scene, still a really good team. They've been taking the world by surprise, and I know Indonesia's proud on how they've been performing so far. But AP Brin, they're the world champions, right? They definitely have been playing a little bit longer and have earned that title from M5. And they don't plan on going down without a fight. Now, that is only game number 1. This is a best of 3, so there is still a chance for RQ Hoshi to be able to turn this around. But
sekali combo sama
Paku itu hilang, I don't really think it worked out. I feel like even if they went in with Brusco on a different roamer to be able to kind of protect her a little bit better, the early game objectives and even toward the mid phase from AP Brin is very hyper focused. It's fast, and you can't have more of a passive play style against it. They need something that can either match the aggression from the side of AP Brin or beat them to the punch.
Yeah. My God, look at that.
Ini kalau tes hero sama tes strategi sih friend sih ngeri banget sih. Tes strategi lawan sama hero di semifinal gini. Soalnya semifinalnya BO3 bukan BO5.
Coming out from AP Brin were perfect. The way that they're setting up each other to be able to get the most out of the time that they're given. For example, when they tried to also go for the push into the bottom lane together with the turtle, even when Red was able to snatch a turtle, their movements were so good that there wasn't any counter from the team. Then, when they tried to go for the push in the middle with Super Marco looking like he was alone, and obviously that's never gonna happen. A gold laner in the mid lane at the early stages of the game, pushing that turret, it's impossible that he's alone, right? And then Brusco kind of felt like, okay, maybe we can do it. Octa is here anyways. But Octa was just, you know, he didn't realize that the only hero that can defend Super Marco in that play, it's not the Ruby, it's actually the Paquito with the Flicker, be able to take down that Lilia very quickly to the point where the Lilia will not be able to pop the black shoes. I cannot remember if the black shoes was actually popped afterwards, but the point is, there is a way to defend Super Marco in that spot. So it's more like, okay, do we actually think that Super Marco is alone here? Obviously, he's not alone. That cannot happen against an M5 championship team. That will never happen. And that might be, that is definitely the reason why AP Brin won that game. Every single play that they did, they had a plan in mind.
Yeah, definitely having a plan every step of the way. You could just tell how synergized their compositions were, where they were focusing on these objectives. Every time they found a member by themselves from the side of RQ Hoshi, they didn't waste any time. Instant conceal play, all full man team, full sending for the kill every single time. It didn't matter how far ahead they were on the board. They know, hey, we have the numbers. These little small objectives is what will make the difference toward that mid phase. And especially if they have a Layla, we can't let them get to the late game. So these little things matter. And honestly, just some great execution from them inside of that match. Now, looking at the side of RQ Hoshi, right? I mean, this is a different game that we've seen from Skylar and Brusco. When Skylar has to play the Layla, he's required to kind of play really far back in that lane and kind of be very passive. Normally, we see him take the fight a little bit more inside of the gold lane, be more aggressive, and also have some survivability. We know Layla is one of the few marksmen that lacks mobility and survivability in that lane, requires the roamer to kind of babysit and protect her at all times. And Skylar was the first kill of the game, you know, and as a marksman, as a gold laner, that's definitely not something you want, especially before the first turtle spawning in and on a late game marksman that's supposed to kind of carry you through the way. So I think maybe stepping into game number 2 for Skylar, maybe we see some of the pickups that we've seen him kind of dominate on so far in the Game of Futures 2024. We've seen him on the Claude, we've seen him on the Beatrix. All some viable options can definitely take him to the next level up against AP Brin.
Yeah, you can see now why the Ruby is one of the top choices for the teams. Obviously, when other teams used it, it didn't look as if it's a top tier play. In fact, the win rate of Ruby is very, very low. But when they're played by someone like Ogwen and AP Brin as a team, where there's a set rotation, it looks wonderful. And I'm going to say this because the choice for RQ Hoshi was for the Kufra. Although we know for sure that Brusco knows how to play that hero, they were put in a spot where they had to choose a roamer for Brusco that's number one, not meta, and number two, cannot accomplish anything close to what a Ruby can accomplish, right? So if you remember that first blood, I said that the Kufra should be delegated in the spot where you're a defensive hero now. Because what they did was to initiate with the Tyrant's Revenge, the first kill of the Kufra, charged up, actually hit Super Marco, but because it's the early game, Layla, Layla cannot take out Super Marco in a span of few seconds. Because when Brusco jumped, there's no angle for an ultimate. Anyways,
Ayo,
I
masuk
don't
lah,
think that
Rapik,
ultimate was
sudah.
available anyway sometimes. So
Udah ngantuk.
what I'm trying to say here is that surely they hit their shots with the Kufra, but that does not accomplish anything. Didn't even poke Kufra. That meant that when that was communicated, Ogwin already knew that there's no defense at all. There's no bouncing ball that can stop the Ruby to go for the play and actually snag Skylar, right? So that is where you struggle. Maybe if they kind of change their minds during that clash, right? For the Kufra to just maybe run in front of Super Marco and just hit him, just be a nuisance in that case. And then maybe reserve the bouncing ball as well as the first kill for when the Ruby is actually there to target his own teammate. Maybe things would have been different, right? The first blood might not have been for the Layla. So the summary of what I'm trying to say here is that the delegation of tasks wasn't there for the side of RRQ Hoshi. That's why they struggled. And there are so much limitations on the Kufra that now if you compare it to Ruby, the Ruby can accomplish so much more than a Kufra would.
And it's the same thing with the Layla and a Clint as well. Just so much that a Clint can accomplish that the Layla can't.
Yeah.
So like you said, they were limiting themselves in terms of these objectives, in terms of the laning phase, and that's what kind of costed them up against AP Bren in game number 1. Now, there's a lot of sustainability on the table, and I got to give credit over there to AP Bren on how well they executed with racking up those assists, right? I mean, you had few rushing in every time we seen, because they had early game damage from the side of RRQ Hoshi. They not only had a Lilia, but they went Irad on the Dairoth inside of the jungle, which was a great answer, like you mentioned, over to Kyle Teasy on the Boxia. But again, as soon as he rushed in, he either had Ogwin by his side to kind of CC the Dairoth, cancel out the Abysm Strike, and if he wasn't there, no worries. Few would kind of snip into the scene and get that Nether Realm activated to be able to keep the team alive, even when the Abysm Strike would connect in. That was just some great execution on the 5v5 engagements. And with them being behind in the economy, with Skylar falling so early, not being able to take these turtles, it was a recipe for disaster inside of game number 1, especially against considered the best team in the world right now, holding that M Series title. Now, game number 2, we got to see how this kind of plays out for them, right? I don't expect them to pull out the Layla again. I expect to see the RRQ Hoshi that I've been seeing so far in the group stages for Games of Future, and also inside of the quarterfinals, where they actually go in for more pickups that they don't rely on protecting their marksman as much. They're not really as reactionary, but they can take that fight into the jungle, onto those turtles, even possibly invade where necessary, and that's where they can kind of turn this around. Because if not, then we will be seeing AP Bren push on forward, the last standing team out of the Philippines, taking out one of the 2 teams currently still in the mix for Indonesia.
Yeah. If I were to guess, I think that maybe the reaction here for RRQ Hoshi is to actually prioritize the hero for Mr. Brusco. Maybe just, put it in the first phase. Get the Ruby as much as possible, or maybe secure the Minotaur, right? Those kinds of heroes, so that Brusco will have a lot more impact. But oh my God, the Ruby was already, because AP Bren knows that they are first pick. So you saw from the previous game, Ruby is such a good red side hero, wherein you first pick it or first phase pick it, it's quite open. That will be the priority now. The Haka Brusco strat might be the thing for AP Bren for them to low-key win the drafting against RRQ Hoshi.
Yeah, and they may end up banning for RRQ Hoshi. The CC could definitely be a problem. You don't want AP Bren to be able to pick that up. That is a staple pick over there for RRQ Hoshi to be able to deal some damage. You know what else is on the table, though? the Benedetta that we've seen dominate over there into the hands of Banana. It got a backdoor play in the group stage to be able to close out one of these games. The mobility is just very hard to match up with Banana. So either a CC or a Benedetta could definitely be a strong pickup for the side of RRQ Hoshi if AP Brin lets this slide through the current draft. Another good pickup would be something like the... well, actually, it's banned out. They took out the Navari. I was going to say that's definitely a strong option. But something else that we've seen from last game, the Faramis is still on the table.
Yeah, Faramis. That could be a valid first pick for AP Brand. That kind of team will not hesitate picking up the Faramis just because of how few is great with the hero. Another hero that they take away from Brusco as well as Irad is the Guinevere. This will definitely be a trend for AP Brand as they want to take this series 2-0. Just take away all of those heroes that will make it comfortable for both Irad as well as Brusco. Faramis is open, like I said. This could be the first pick. Indeed, it will be. RRQ Hoshi. Do they go for Lilia already this time? CC is open, but I think they go Lilia. Actually, Minotaur. There's something in me that says that maybe the Minotaur is going to be first face picked here by RRQ Hoshi.
100% CC first pick for RRQ Hoshi. Yeah. And then I do agree with you for those additional picks as they go back in. Oh, whoa. The Minotaur. Okay, but
still got it.
Diggy's still on the table. So do they go in for more of a frontline jungler for the side of AP Brin and pull out the Diggy to kind of counteract that CC? Or are they not even going to go the Diggy at all, considering there is a Fredrin on the table, which could definitely overwhelm the time journey?
Yeah, AP Brin might not really consider that. Maybe they'll be happy about the Faramis. Of course, it will be considered, but maybe in the latter portions of the game. For their priority should be maybe a burst type or maybe a Brody, in fact, for AP Brin. Very quickly go for the Brody this time so that they secure that. Decent versus the Fredrin and the Minotaur all together. Then I'm thinking Arlet actually for AP Brin because that's usually what they pick up against this Fredrin. And there it is, the Brody.
That's why you're the $1 million caster right there. Look at that $1 million prediction over there. Brody does get slotted up. I think it's a great answer, especially against a heavy frontline composition. I mean, teams that like to dive in, going back to the back line onto marksman. Brody's one of the best pickups for that, right? He has the corrosion strike to be able to get that stun, get back, has a flicker to top that off as well to expand the distance and also close the distance if he wants to go in for the kill with the torn apart memories. Now, Flat TZ, not wasting any time for the team. They are going to go ahead and decide who their jungler is going to be. And that is going to be the Boxia. Now, we've been seeing the Boxia picked up today. It's definitely been executing pretty well, rotating around, able to get to the positions necessary to deal the damage. We saw RRQ Hoshi in the first game pick up a die route to respond to it, but now, hey, they can't really pick up the die. I mean, I guess they could, but it would make it a little bit troublesome, especially when there's a Brody on the table who really wants those frontline competitions to be slotted up. So that will be a little bit of an easier time for the Boxia rotating around.
Nathan going to be the pickup for RRQ Hoshi. I would have said Claude, but then again, this totally makes a lot of sense. It's an AoE. There's a lot of AoE that you can get out of the Nathan. Although it will take a lot of time, it's definitely okay and advisable to go for a late game hero now for RRQ Hoshi, because if you look at their two heroes, it allows for those late game types of heroes, like the Nathan that really likes to farm a lot. You have the Minotaur as well as the Fredrin to protect that Nathan. They might even couple this up with another sustain kind of hero, or maybe somewhere along the lines of a Lilia that can actually sustain herself so that he can output the damage. And now, actually, I think AP Brin might look to ban that hero, that Lilia, and obviously the Nana, the heroes that allow for the Nathan to be able to farm.
That's honestly exactly what I was going to say, right? The Nana or the Lilia is definitely something RRQ Hoshi could profit off of, and a great read from AP Brin to be able to counteract that. Now, that will put RRQ Hoshi in a little bit of a bind on who they go in for their mage. Now, Valentina looks to still be on the table. They could pick that up. I mean, it'd be great against the Faramis to provide the Nether Realm for the side of RRQ Hoshi. I mean, they have a little bit of sustainability from Bruce on the Minotaur, but it would be a really good pickup, especially to give them even more heals on these 5v5 engagements. Up against a hero like Brody, right? He pops that torn apart memories, instantly go in for that Nether Realm to keep the team alive. No worries about it. You've been talking about the Nathan sneaking up into the scene as well today, and now we get to see a showcasing of exactly how well it will perform up against AP Bryn. But so far, we got a pretty solid draft on our hands.
Yeah, it's Lilia banned out by AP Bryn, as expected. But you're right. I think the Valentina could be a valid pickup here for RRQ Hoshi. However, there's that option of the Aurora, which really couples up well with the Minotaur. Maybe the next best choice is the Vexana. These two heroes that can that actually replaced Farsa and Eve, that really puts themselves just way back into the fights and just output the damage. That makes a lot of sense versus the Faramis, so that you can trickle down the extra HP from the ultimate. So that could be a valid option here for RRQ Hoshi. Might reserve their XP lane for last. Or maybe they picked it up. Oh, there it is, the Vexana. I think maybe RRQ Hoshi will close it up with a Lapu Lapu.
A Lapu Lapu. You know what I'd be interested to see? The Benedetta slide through that they've been kind of dominating so well on, just especially with Banana. And we talked about it walking in the early phase of the draft, and I mean, he's performed really well on it. It could be a possible pickup, especially since CC was not able to be slotted. It was currently banned out, and that's one of the few XP laners that we've been kind of seeing him run so far. We did see the Ruby banned out as well, which could have been a great answer, either flex to the XP lane or the roam position. So I would say, Benedetta could be a very good pickup for the side of RRQ Hoshi, but in terms of AP Bryn, they're looking pretty solid with their draft. They have sustainability. They have great front line from the Boxia and already some good damage from the Brody. And there goes the Grok that we've seen already previously in the quarterfinals.
I would have said that maybe they snatched the Lapu Lapu, and indeed they did that, because that means that RRQ Hoshi will not have the perfect hero to counter the Faramis as well as Brody. So yeah, I think they're left with one option, which is the Benedetta now for RRQ Hoshi. Apart from that, the choice will be Yuzhong, which is not the most ideal scenario. But if they want, they can still go for, like, I think they're left with Benedetta, because you have AoE damage, match up against the Lapu Lapu. Well, maybe the craziest hero that they can get is probably Yuzhong, although that is like a very underwhelming hero to go up against AP Bryn. And there's it. Well, there's the Benedetta, a specialty for RRQ Hoshi. Great closeout. I think this is a relatively even draft, but I do like that, like the Nathan pick coming out from RRQ Hoshi, because it makes a lot of sense with the heroes that are around it. You have the Vexana to output the damage when the Minotaur goes for the initiation. You have Fredrin to frontline for the team, and with this kind of lineup, they have a way to front to back. At the same time, there's always that option to go for the split with Banana. So it's a really good mix for both teams.
Yeah, and with Skylar run the Nathan, it's definitely going to be a little bit different of a game than what we've seen on the Laylas. We are now stepping into the virtual arena. AP Bryn out from the Philippines, looking stronger than ever. Currently at match point up against RRQ Hoshi out from Indonesia. Who will be able to prevail in that amazing draft? Like we said, pretty even on the scoreboard, but time will tell on who will be our victor for game number 2.
Okay, ayo RRQ, menang.
It's gonna be a really good matchup, and I do hope that we get to a game number 3, just because of how good the two coaches are drafting. I mean, just for game number 2, that's what I can say. It makes for an interesting draft, and I kind of want to see more. But at the same time, obviously, AP Bryn would want to close this out 2-0. The way that they drafted this is to win the lanes, right? So you have the Lapu Lapu, which is a hero that rarely loses lane. Really good in that regard. Going up against the Benedetta, I think that if you go damage build on Banana, you're going to have a better time against the Lapu Lapu because of the trading potential that you have. Just have to be careful not to get hit by skill 1 and skill 2 of this Lapu Lapu.
Yeah, and Brusco taking some heavy hits nice and early. Going to force him to recall back to the base. RRQ Hoshi starting to try and be a little bit more aggressive. May look a little bit more promising to game number 1 on the bot side. Banana very comfortable.
One hit.
Over here on this Benedetta, forcing Kyle Teasy to the bot side to stop him from taking down Flat Teasy on the 1v1 engagement.
Yeah. Gotta be Banana, just, you know. There's always that thing where you say that Banana is a one-trick kind of player, but man, every time you watch his Benedetta and the way that he plays it, you're always amazed. You can see even Flap Teasy on the Yuzhong, the Lapu Lapu, I mean, is struggling against Banana's Benedetta.
Yeah, speaking of struggling,
nice,
Brusco will be able to find one. Takes on Ogwin. A little different of a start than we've seen in game number 1. This time, we're able to see RRQ Hoshi take the first kill as we do kind of pan over for a quick second. They are leading. That was first blood and now up by about 500 gold.
Yeah. Good movements, taking advantage of the Fredrin Minotaur wall that they can have, moving wall that they have with the Vexana from behind. It's like a war strategy from RRQ Hoshi where they're slowly sieging AP Bren with these big boys in front line, and AP Bren couldn't do anything about it. Even in this take, you can see that it's difficult for them, and Octa is just outputting so much damage from behind. He's free to do it.
Yeah, a lot of damage. Irad will be able to claim that turtle. RRQ Hoshi, this is what we're talking about. This is the RRQ Hoshi we've seen in Group Stage A and in the quarterfinals. Now, leading the way in the early game, AP Bren on the backside of things this time around. Now, I would say Banana definitely opening up a lot of opportunity. Running on the Benedetta, a comfort pick, a staple pick inside of his hands. It definitely makes the difference in the early phase of the game, and it's something that RRQ Hoshi is leaning on. Now, for AP Bren, it's still looking pretty promising. We like the Brody pickup, right? It's really good up against the up and close and personal heroes. Even the Benedetta, if she decides to rush in, it could be a possible problem. But so far, RRQ Hoshi, with the slight lead, looks like they've been able to find their tempo since game 1.
Oh, yeah. And even Skylar is leading when it comes to the EXP going up against Super Marco, if I'm seeing this correctly. But there was a time where Skylar was level 5 and Super Marco was level 4. Super Marco had to go back to base, and this is looking really well for RRQ Hoshi. All of the lanes are going in their favor, and all of the core heroes of RRQ Hoshi are getting the farm over their designated matchup. So that's definitely a good sign. 3 minutes, 38 seconds to get the Feather of Heaven. Great timing for Skylar.
Yeah, and Super Marco going to go ahead and pick up that Blade of Heptases for some great initial burst damage. Brusco trying to find an opportunity for the side of RRQ Hoshi. Looks like they're going to go in for a possible kickoff. Rushing straight into Pew, but he may be able to make his way into that tier 2 turret. Irad thirsty for the kill, but not able to close the distance for the setup.
Oh, Irad, berkali cuy.
It just the pokes. I mean, look at him having the freedom to do this because of Brusco's protection.
Yeah, big wild charge, guarding his barrier. Dropping down from Ogwin, trapping Brusco and Octa from escaping. It's a good thing AP Bren did not decide to engage on that, because that was a good setup to kind of zone them away from escaping.
Yeah. Great plays coming up from RRQ Hoshi. You can see that without the wild charge, AP Bren might not be thinking about taking the turtle, actually. Maybe they just go for pickoffs. But in comes the turtle fight.
Yeah, sitting at about 75% HP. Irad on it over here with the Fredrin, being a little bit of a bully, not afraid to take the fight up close and personal. Rushes into Ogwin for the setup. Teasy zoned out from Brusco. RRQ Hoshi, total control of the jungle and turtle pit so far, even extending into the purple buff. But Irad may be a little too close if they decide to engage. Big Minoan Fury, triple knockup onto AP Bren. Brusco with the setup.
Oke, Paramis keluar ulti.
Coming alive from Few as both teams still fighting it out over this turtle. Neither side
Wartal turunnya ngeri banget sih mereka. Nggak ada yang mati loh war besar.
Irad is half HP but does have the sustain from the as a Fredrin. And they're trying to
Ogwin masih ada ulti nih.
From this turtle.
Dia mau tabrak. Siapa yang dapat? Nice, Octa yang dapat. Brusco dia udah tau mati, dia putar posisi guys. Biar nggak dikejar Octanya.
That will go into the hands of AP Bren, but they lose the neutral objective. A 1,000 gold lead for RRQ Hoshi.
Nathannya si di bawah lihat. Warna malapu-lapu tuh. Irad.
Irad will be able to get out of there though. Very low on the HP. Electrifying blow going down from Banana through the Guardian's barrier provided over there from Ogwin, who has had some really good setups with it. I think his placement have been pretty valid so far in the early phase.
Yeah. I got a little bit scary for Irad, almost going down, but fortunately as the help
Lapunya mau dimakan kan? Lapu-lapu, Scalar sana sama Brusco, kayak bisa aman.
Defense for his team while also outputting the damage, right? So you cannot really just dive as AP Bren. And if you're thinking about the composition of AP Bren, they're mainly like I would say melee based.
Wih, tadi aku ketiduran, bentar betul loh itu loh guys. Sadar aku,
without the ultimate, Brody's range is not that good.
Ya, mati lapunya.
Close and personal as gets melted down. Few
triple combo tadi tuh, skill 1 back sana, skill 1 Irat angkat, terus skill 1 Brusco di ulti back sana lagi. Taruh bawah hancur, udah di zoning tuh sama Irat dengan Brusco.
Controlling this map for RRQ Hoshi, and so far they're getting everything that
Dapat
they have
2 tower.
came for. AP Bryn is now
Piu
the team
setengah
that is
darah kena
reacting
ulti.
to RQ Hoshi.
It's really good from RRQ Hoshi. This is the tempo that we're looking for, and like we said, like these 4
Atas
people, they
dapat
will
sih.
not leave each other. They will let Banana do the split for them, and both Octa as well as Skylars, they're gonna be able to output the damage that they needed because of the two bad dudes in the front line. That's Irad and Brusco. And I don't know if you know this already, but Brusco in Tagalog can also mean something like a like a big dude in the front line, like a brawn kind of dude. Like when you say when you're Brusco, you're like a jacked kind of dude in the front lines.
Yeah, definitely showcasing it and living up to that
Mati.
name. Has a lot of things going on in the mid lane
Lap
from
TC.
both sides of the table.
Banana,
Bodies
selamat.
may drop here in a matter of
Mati.
seconds.
Oke.
We're seeing the Terrify go down.
Lap TC-nya
Octa
mati.
able to find Flap TZ, unable to find his way back to his side of the
Nice
jungle.
ward, tarik ulur yang bagus dari RRQ, guys.
Side of AP Bryn, 3 seconds until the Lord spawns in.
Oh man, they're nullifying the Labu-Labu by outputting so much
Ya,
damage.
zoning bagus juga dari Scalar tuh.
Good hit on the second skill, and now
Sayangnya
Kaltizi goes to the
Scalar
fray.
mau mana nih?
Yeah, he's gonna rush
Dia
in, hit with the
dicicil
Terrified
terus
though.
sama Octa.
Irad trying to get away, the wall will drop
Banana
again from
datang,
Og when we talked
Ogwennya
about his placements
disekeratin.
on these Guardian barriers.
Brusco
Definitely
bisa
not
mati nih,
disappointing today.
Brusco.
Very
Ah,
low
kan.
mid-range. Super Marco will find him, and Noam Fury goes down right before he falls.
Oke, dapat
47
lower
AP
RRQ,
Bryn. Irad
nice.
will find the
Banana.
Lord.
Mati
That is
kah
a big
Banana?
play for the side of RRQ Hoshi
Banana
to
mati,
continue their
oke.
tempo. Super Marco takes down Banana
Minion
to
bawah, oke.
respond.
Minion bawah,
Two
oke.
members falling for the side of RRQ Hoshi, but able to claim this Lord.
All
Mereka
good
mau
fairness,
paksa mid.
RRQ Hoshi's Lord Dance is great. They got the Lord after that. But AP Bryn, they're
Nice.
juggling. Their isolation moves are
Ultinya
looking
kebuka.
very neat.
Ultinya
That's the
kebuka.
thing for RRQ
Ulti
Hoshi.
Paramis kebuka nih.
The only reason for them to lose some of their members is that if somebody gets isolated, it is exactly what happened
Minion
with
bawah
Brusco's
bagus.
Banana. Nevertheless, they still secured the Lord, which is much more important in this case. Like losing your roamer for the Lord is
Oke,
definitely
pas
a
tower bawah
positive
hancur.
trade for you. And RRQ Hoshi can now take over the
Udah
map
meledak.
once again.
Yeah, with that Lord marching
Tower
down
dapat.
on the bot side, they may go in
Atas.
for some additional turrets. I mean, look at the top lane. Skylar, again, will take another tier 2 turret in their favor. Now leading 4
Dimainin
turrets
cuma
to
makronya.
none against AD Bryn, and may claim some more in the mid lane as they are going to siege for that tier 1. It will fall into their
Ih,
hands.
kuat banget cuma
3
makro RRQ
major
jam 2
objectives,
ini.
2 turrets and a Lord. Over to
Jangan
their
bilang
side
tadi
so
Friend
far. Even
tes
on the
hero
kills,
dengan
though,
strategi,
but
cuy.
down in the economy by 4,000
Ini kalau RRQ
gold
menang sih, wah.
behind AP Bryn.
Yeah.
Meskipun kill sama
Looking really
objektifnya
good
jauh,
for
guys.
the Nathan as well.
Sekarang lihat
For
5k
now,
golnya.
I mean, we haven't been talking about Skylar, but he is actually left in the kitchen for quite a long time now. 7.5k, 1,000 gold ahead of the Brody, and already up with 3 items. And by the way, Crystal
Sekarang
and
main
Starling
berlima
said
tuh.
with the Feather of Heaven,
XP aja nggak mau
that's
bisa.
gonna hurt. If you see someone just stay
Apa
in
brand?
front of Nathan for 1 or 2 seconds, no matter who that is, that guy's gonna die. And the only saving grace here for AP Bryn is that they have the Faramis ultimate. Even Kyle, look at him take so much damage.
Ooh, big Minoan Fury as well for the knockup. The response back though. Brusco very low. Entry
Lihat,
going
tarik
out.
ulurnya.
Trying to get a possible kill. Skylar looking for the opportunity. Like a final
Aduh,
blow.
Banana
He will
mati,
take down
nggak dapat tukar
Banana.
satu.
Before he's able to escape, that would be 2 members falling for the side. No, 1 member falling for the side of RRQ Hoshi. They still have
Mati.
the route.
Nice, Super Marco-nya mati.
Irad will find Super Marco, finds the marksman for AP Bryn, and going in for this tier 2
Kaget tuh
turret.
tadi Super
You're looking at
Marco-nya.
Flap TZ,
Nggak
not trying to
sangka
give it
dia.
up without a fight. It will fall though. Octa able to claim it for RRQ Hoshi.
Oh, did you see that juggle coming up from AP Brand? Flap TZ activated the Bravest Fighter, hit onto 2 of their members, and looked like it's as if he will commit to the fight. But instead, he went back, and that actually attracted Banana to go in and get isolated again. He was taken out. However, RRQ Hoshi, with the farm that they have and the fact that they're grouping up, at least for the rest of their other members, they still were able to take out Super Marco, which is big, and they took an objective to go with it. So this is RRQ Hoshi not only controlling the tempo, but now having great plans whenever they're trying to go for plays. It's not anymore a mindless play that they're doing or a very reactionary kind of play that they're doing. This is actually
Ini Ogwen
a
kalau
planned
kena
assault
stun
coming out
sekali
from RQ Hoshi.
dimakanin. Lihat ya.
Now, passing that 11-minute mark, you're looking at RQ Hoshi having full control of this game so far. Hasn't lost a single turret in this game. And now, looking to take the next objective on the board. The contesto from AP Bryn. A little bit of a knock up. Very low. Entropy going down. Skylar able to get it, but a wild charge from Ogwood into the backside.
Scalar tuh
We'll get
sakit
the knockup,
kali
but
ya.
nobody's will fall. No Fury
Super Marco-nya dapat. Nah kan, aku bilang dimakanin kamu. Banana flanking dapat Super Marco. Aduh, one hit.
Super Marco though in the fight. Skylar taking down Few. Super Marco and Ogwen by themselves. Few will get back in time, get the most out of the passive from this Faramis.
Keluar aja.
Now you're looking at RQ Hoshi trying to seize the opportunity to crack open the base from AP Bryn.
Wah, mati. Ogwennya mati. Wah, Scalar sakit banget guys.
Irad gets the last hit, but you can see them.
Scalar mati kah?
Skylar though.
Wih, nice backup. Nice backup. Nice backup. N. Tanpa lure N guys.
Looks like they're going in for the finish. RQ Hoshi looking
Lihat Scalar. Wah, sakit banget.
Can they do
mati
it?
tuh. Mati tuh junglernya.
Sustaining himself through all this damage, trying to buy some time. Few will find Scarlet, gets a double, takes out Banana. Minions are in
play, N guys.
But he will fall a full wipeout on AP Bryn. RQ Hoshi trying to close it out.
Nice.
Just needs a few minutes to go through, not able to close the distance. And RQ Hoshi flipping the script and turning this around, evens out the series against AP Bryn.
Wah, hilang antuk dikit guys.
Before game one started, the priority for RQ Hoshi is to win their lane matchups.
Wih, itu tadi ini kalau RRQ menang serius. Friend berani banget tes hero sama tes strategi. Wah, ngeri banget sih. Kalau RRQ menang ya, ngeri banget. 2 game loh ini, BO3. Mentalnya tuh harus mental kuat. Cuma begitu tes hero gitu sama tes strategi gitu. Meskipun ini killnya banyak ya, nggak jauh banget. Tapi itu one sided sih ini game, one sided banget. Kalah makro sih.
Had it not been for AP Bryn's
massive
juggles, this game would have easily been in RQ Hoshi's favor. But at the same time, RQ Hoshi really woke up. And now Brusco actually is in a much more comfortable spot. You can see him go for those initiations wherein he will pop the first few ticks, the first 2 ticks of the ultimate in place, and then go for the flicker for nice timing on the AP Bryn. He times the flicker in the right moment so that he'll be able to catch AP Bryn at the edges of the circle of the Minoan Fury. And what you only need to have like the follow-up coming up from the Vexana to eventually take over the game. And that's really what Brusco has been able to bring to the table when he's given this kind of comfortable heroes. Surely the Kufra is a hero that was mastered already by Brusco, but it doesn't work in the meta. Now, we can see like Tigreal, heroes like Grok, as well as this Minotaur. This will be the priority for RQ Hoshi. So I will not be surprised if there's an emphasis on the Haka Brusco strat again for AP Bryn next game.
Yeah, and I mean, the signature Banana split, right? Banana really
That's
good rotating around the map on the Benedetta, and they let it walk. We talked about it earlier in the draft. We said, hey, majority of the time we're seeing the side of RQ Hoshi win. Banana has this Benedetta. I'm convinced that the B in Benedetta stands for Banana, the way he's performing so far today. But yeah, he's creating those opportunities every single time to be able to get the neutral objectives and also free up Skylar to have a good time in his gold lane.
Langsung
it allows RQ Hoshi to kind of
streamer lain gak sih
in
guys?
the early phase, and
YouTube
once they
gak sih
start, they don't stop, right? We've seen them pretty much continue to check off those blocks on their list for these objectives, which led to that 13-minute finish, a very early game, and now we're seeing that even series, and there goes our MVP.
40% damage taken. He really put his role into heart, right? So we said that this composition, when they went in for the Frederick plus the Minotaur, the idea here is that you have backliners to support you, which in this case it is Vexana as well as the Nathan. But I want to go back to the first few minutes of the game where you can really see what the strength of the Minotaur plus the Fredrin can bring to the table, or what their strength really is, which is really just run down, slow siege your opponents, and allow Vexana to just freely hit from the backlines. If we're looking at AP Bryn, the only backline access that they have is Flap TZ. Surely you can argue that with Kyle, Ogwen, and View, but they're generally heroes that want to go to damage the frontliners, so it's more of a front-to-back composition for AP Bryn. Despite the dive and the the gap closers that they have, this is generally a lineup where you want to go front to back. And RQ Hoshi took advantage of that. They have a much better front to back composition compared to AP Bren. And you can see them abuse that factor, especially in the early stages of the game where they just literally stopped Ogwen as well as View from rotating to their own team, which now made it so that the side lanes, the natural advantage that you have for the side laners of RQ to flourish. That's exactly what happened in the early stages.
One set banget kayak tadi ya,
about RQ Hoshi in this game is that they didn't go
RRQ macro, guys.
Right? So every time that they try to team fight around the neutral objectives, they take that, they don't let go of that. Even when they lose some of their members, that's alright. Then they allow the banana to go for the macro. Or overall, RQ Hoshi, well thought draft.
Yeah, definitely a well thought draft and some excellent execution on top of that. Made for a game winner to even out this series up against AP Bren. And now, with them being 1-1, me and you kind of expected, right? Game 2 to be a little bit closer. That's the RQ Hoshi that we've been seeing so far in Game of Futures 2024 that everybody has been talking about. I'm sure out in Indonesia, the crowd is going wild. The Philippines, same thing as well. AP Bren, their final stand inside of Game of Futures 2024, the world champions from M5. Both of them fighting it out. The Philippines up against Indonesia. This is one of the best matches I like to kind of catch and cast. You learn so much from seeing both of these teams fight together against each other, but there can only be one person claiming victory, and they are currently both sitting with 1 win, which means the next team to win will knock out the other side.
And I'm sure that all of the Filipino fans out there have been shaken, because if you think about it, even when Bren is looking real good in the group stages and the first part of the playoffs yesterday, they are still literally 1 loss away from losing all of the Filipino teams' claim to the throne, right? So they're the last team standing for the Philippines, and they're literally 1 loss away from not having the chance to defend their world championship, right? So that's gonna be nerve-wracking for sure. And this really makes up for a very interesting format where it's a best of 3 in a single elimination. The games are literally every single game matters so much, and it's just very scary to think about that way. Like after winning so much, AP Bren literally just 1 loss away from getting out of the tournament.
Yeah, just 1 loss away. And, you know, first off, that's the first loss that AP Bren has taken in Game of Futures 2024. They've been undefeated so far. And that just shows you how strong of a region Indonesia is as well, to be able to take one away from them and put them in a position where they have to win this one or they're done. Second thing I want to mention is, can we give some credit to Wolf on the freaking analyst points on the draft? The man was hitting everyone left and right. Man, I'm telling you, this man is from the future. It's a pleasure casting with you. I mentioned watching international teams such as Indonesia and the Philippines, but also being able to, you know, cast alongside you, somebody who's been here since the beginning of the MLBB scene. I'm definitely got my notebook out, taking notes every step of the way as we're going through these drafts, and it's not been disappointing so far. I love seeing a series that goes to a best of 3 all the way to a game 3, and that's what we have today now. With both of these teams, everything on the line, I think AP Bren, they'll have a better chance if they find a way to make Banana uncomfortable. Maybe stop the Benedetta from coming out, because usually when the Benedetta's there, that's where they profit the most.
Yeah, and I think that they will now have a little bit more priority towards their side lanes when it comes to drafting. So maybe this time they will let RRQ Hoshi pick up the side lanes first before they reveal theirs, because that's literally what happened in game number 1. You can see that the first pick there was the first pick there was, if I'm not mistaken, Layla. So they answered the Layla with the Clint. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is that the EXP and the gold lane choices for RQ Hoshi were picked first, and then Bren Sports countered those picks in the laning stage, right? So it was Clint versus Layla, and it was CC counter or answered by Lapu. What did Flap TC play in game number 1? You see, this is my memory.
I gotta go back.
But that's not the point, right? At least to win the side lanes. Now, in game number 2, it was clear that RQ Hoshi now gave the tempo to AP Bren when it comes to drafting all of the side laners, and then they countered afterwards. So it was...
he had Paquito, by the way, just to let you know.
There it is. Right, so at least you don't necessarily win the matchup of CC versus Paquito, but if you play it correctly, it's a skills matchup anyway, so it's even. But when it comes to the game number 2, Nathan, after getting level 2, will definitely win against the Brody in the poke battle. So you saw that in the 1v1, Skylar going up against Super Marco. Super Marco lost game number 2 just because of the fact that the first pick was the Brody, or the earlier pick was the Brody. It was countered by the late matchup later. And then on the other side, it was definitely that Benedetta, the specialty pick, obviously coming in from RRQ Hoshi. Banana adjusted. He didn't go for the sustain build on the Benedetta. He went for damage build, right? So I knew that even when we don't know the emblems, because that Benedetta looked very soft, but it hits hard, right? So it's more of a glass cannon build up. So really, I would say that the key factor here for RRQ Hoshi to win against AP Bren is if they win the side lane matchup in the draft. So I think that should be a point of consideration for AP Bren. Maybe AP Bren might consider getting the second pick or the red side.
Belum tengah malam. Kita nih di Indonesia nih, apalagi aku nih di Sulawesi guys. Setengah dua. Bayangin setengah dua. Ngantuk banget. Sampai Onik aja tuh aku nggak ada niat mau bakal tunggu Onik. Soalnya aku tuh ya cuma fans RRQ guys.
Game 1, we were able to see AP Bren pretty much dominate. We both agreed kind of picking that Kufra, slotted up with the Layla. Didn't really work in RRQ Hoshi's favor. Not really the typical Skylar that we're used to seeing. That's more aggressive and able to kind of sustain himself without requiring a little bit of help from Brusco in that gold lane, but able to kind of do it mostly by himself. And then again, with Banana not really having his staple pick, definitely didn't create the opportunity they were looking for on both sides of the table. But game 2, you can see a major difference when those two things are checked off board. And you were mentioning things that RQ Hoshi could do to take down AP Bren. I would say, even for AP Bren taking down RQ Hoshi, those are two things that they should definitely be looking at focusing on if they want to make sure they have this game in the bag. There's only one chance. There's only one more game, and one of these teams will be going home. The other one will move on into the grand finals for a chance at majority of that $1 million prize.
Ayo, RRQ bisa.
I'll not be surprised if both AP Bren as well as RRQ Hoshi will just result back to their comfort pickups, like the
jaringan aku kenapa jelek banget nih?
It obviously made a lot of sense in the end. It's just a good pick, but at the same time, it still is a specialty pick coming out from RQ Hoshi, so they might want to go back for that. I just hope that it's not the Layla, right? So it worked in the group stages, but against a team like AP Bren, not gonna work, especially if they're first pick. Now, if you're looking at the opposite end, which is this time AP Bren, they really want to go back to what worked in M5 World Championships? So what are those heroes? You have the Fermis on Few, you have Count Easy with the backshot, as well as that Booty from Super Marco. Really strong trio, right? When it comes to the pick, it's their power pick for sure. But does it actually work in the metagame that we have right now? So that is probably one of the considerations for AP Bren. Surely they know how that works, that dynamic works, but they're going up against a team that is led by their former technical coach, right? So they have an idea how to actually control that Brody composition. So maybe that's just one of the things that AP Bren might consider. Oh, AP Bren still chose to go for blue side. They first won the
lanjut guys, drop it.
Might be the case, but no, they
menang. Soalnya kalah pulang guys.
It is going to be a totally different approach now.
Ayo, semangat RRQ.
Yeah, they're going to be
Mereka ban Faramis.
A little bit of a surprise right there, seeing that not walk. Normally with AP Bren though, the way I've been noticing a kind of pattern in their banning, especially when they're second pick, but first pick the Faramis is a little newer to me. Usually their second pick they'll either go. They may still do it. They may ban out the R lot, maybe the Ruby as this progresses. With them having first pick, trying to get some of those prior targets that they like to focus in on. Especially, if RQ Hoshi doesn't ban the CC, that's a great pickup for AP Bren, especially to keep up with the mobility if they decide not to ban the Benedetta. I think that'd be strong. There goes the Joy, though, taken off the table, and then a staple ban that we've been seeing time and time again for majority of the teams in Game of Futures 2024. I think it's just across the board. Nobody wants that to walk. Out goes the Mathilda.
Joy Irat di ban.
Maybe answered by Nolan. especially when the Joy is banned out, you don't want to have the Nolan in there. Novaria obviously is a problem in that regard. With this banning pattern from AP Brand, maybe they go Guinevere as their third ban, but they go Minotaur, obviously. We've already talked about that. So there are two targets here for AP Brand. Either they want to go Ruby or Guinevere as their first.
Jadi kan aku nak kuat banget loh.
So those are
Lalu
the
tengah
potential
malam
heroes for
gini.
AP Brand. And whatever is left in the two heroes that we've mentioned, that will go in the favor of RRQ Hoshi. Because I don't think that RRQ Hoshi will let the Nolan out. Unless they have
apa ya?
for it. But
Kita turunin bitrate-nya jadi 3000 aja deh.
Choice here for RRQ Hoshi.
I agree with you actually.
Turun kali loh guys. Kalau aku pakai bitrate 3500 aja.
And we seen when the Ruby was slotted up against the Kufra, how much of a presence it had for AP Brand.
Turun bitrate-nya turun. Drop banget sampai ke 1000.
Not to mention, it's also a great flex pick, right? I mean, you can also put in the XP.
Tengah malam bukannya bagus, malah jelek.
Adjust your composition throughout the draft. And there goes the Nolan that you kind of mentioned, being a wise pickup and a wise ban for the side of RRQ Hoshi, and there it goes. The Guinevere will be slotted up.
Yep.
Aku harus nonton sendiri sih YouTube, lihat dulu dia patah-patah gimana.
And if you're RRQ Hoshi, you really cannot pass up on that pickup. So going back, they might go for the Fredrin again. But they
terputus guys, disconnect tadi.
And there are little to no answers to this.
Disconnect lagi guys.
Maybe AP Brand just brings up a Clint actually, just so that they can outrange this Nolan. But this is such a strong pick. Now, how do you answer the Nolan? You have to go for the dive, right? For AP Brand. So you need a hero that goes with the Guinevere when it comes to diving, like maybe a Yuzhong, a Paquito again for AP Brand.
Arlot?
Maybe an Arlot, right? I wonder if you wants to go for assassin type of mages, perhaps someone that can dive as well. There's the Arlot that you talked about. Maybe they go for a few hero now. Maybe okay, they go Nana. Wow. Okay, yeah, makes a lot of sense versus the Ruby in a way.
I like it. I mean, the synergy, that's a synergized combo, right? You have the
drop
and the
Arlot,
the Demon Gaze being able to proc off the CC your team provides. Having that Violet Requiem from the Guinevere and the Spatial Migration is going to provide that. And we still haven't even got to see.
Kita tes buka ulang kali ya YouTube-nya. Wah, memang jalanin di home sih gangguan. Ini lagi nggak putar YouTube aja begini loh.
Relax dulu yuk.
Sorry guys, iklan. Soalnya nggak premium guys. Seria. YouTube-nya nggak premium guys. Ini memang aduh jelek banget guys. Dari IndiHome-nya memang nih aduh. Parah kali guys. Aku udah turunin bitrate loh padahal tuh kayak ke 3000. Sering kali tuh drop lagi ke 1000. Aduh, mana nih guys. Kita kok kurangin kualitas aja kah demi kelancaran. Kita pakai 2500 deh kalau gitu bitrate-nya.
Whereas AP Brand now gonna be looking for your mages to ban. Oh, but of course, you don't want to give the Benedetta anymore.
Well, actually, I don't think it'll be picked up, but no, maybe. CC, did C walk? CC did walk.
Not yet. Oh, okay.
It did. So it may
Nathan, Ruby, Redrin,
Winnie. The Ruby into the wrong position, put CC in the XP, put Fredrin.
Lihat putar-putar lagi, guys.
And I think that'd be a pretty solid composition, especially with them having first pick on the second phase of this draft. Would be definitely an asset to their composition that they're drafting so far. For AP Bryn though,
normal
looking
lagi.
Pretty solid. They just need to kind of solidify this with a maybe some more Group C. Honestly, they might not even need to go Group CC. They could go for some sustainability. I mean, they already have the Guinevere and the Arlot and the Nana to top that off. Overall, this is similar to game number 2, where both sides have a very solid draft.
I'm thinking I'm only thinking to
Bennett-nya Banana di Bennett.
Kaja,
terus Mino Brusco di Bennett juga.
But I think you're more leaning towards the Kaja because you don't want to have an actual tank in the front lines because that will be taken out anyways. I suspect the mage will be the ban here for AP Bren. RRQ just can go back to Aurora. So similar idea for the Vexana. You can output the damage from long distance. Have the Ruby as well as this friendly front for you.
Kesel banget aku lihat ini.
In a much better spot. So apart the Kaja, something tells me that AP Bren might go back to maybe a... This is crazy, but maybe a Leslie actually. Because you really need to outrange this Nathan. But of course, CC controlled by Arkeoshi, great pickup. So if either Kaja Beatrix for AP Bren or Kaja Leslie for AP Bren. Obviously that's a wild idea, but the point is you need to outrange this Nathan in lane so that you can win that matchup.
Another one that might slide through is the Brody. I mean, I don't see the Brody being banned out. It could definitely be a strong pickup. It's been a staple pickup so far in Game of Futures 2024. Able to be very mobile, able to sustain himself, especially against that entropy that the Nathan will drop in with the CC, who we know is going to harass on these objectives, right? It's a lot of mobility, and not just for any player. That's going to be Banana picking up this CC. If you've seen what he did with the Benedetta in the last game, he was all over the place, creating the opportunity in the XP lane for the difference on the neutral objectives, either being able to help clear the mid lane, providing an extra member to be able to fight in these neutral objectives, and also delaying the other XP laner from keeping up with him. But they're going to go for something like you kind of mentioned, the Beatrix. I think it's a wise decision. We don't get to see the Beatrix too often in Game of Futures 2024, so I'm excited about that. But the last pick was there for AP Bren, and it will be the export.
You really need poke here from Arkeoshi. Obviously, the Aurora is there. Maybe they go back to a Farsa, actually, just for them to control this export. But obviously, the Lilia is a much better or a more... I guess easier hero compared to a Farsa, but you understand the point, right? You need poke, and that is the reason. That is the way you handle the export is via poke, and Lilia just takes all those
setting nih jaringan jelek kali.
Again from both teams. Did you notice that this probably is one of the most
disconnect lah gara-gara jaringan
in this particular tournament, where every single second we keep on guessing and there are the setups. They dig their bag of tricks, picking up the Beatrix.
Okay, masuk.
As I've mentioned, like there were only two options for them, either the Beatrix or the Leslie. You don't want to go Leslie because it's not the most reliable hero in the game. Beatrix, though, it has a way. It has a way at least to win against the Nathan. It doesn't necessarily 100% win against the Nathan, but you can. Now it's up to execution for both teams.
And into the land of Dawn we go.
Ayo,
AP Bren.
RRQ.
All the way out from the Philippines, the world champions from 5, looking to make a stand up against RRQ Hoshi from Indonesia. This is a best of 3 all the way to a game number 3. One of these teams will be going home today. One will be moving forward into the grand finals. Who will it be?
It's got to be up to who
sakit
better. And we haven't really talked about the
awal tuh
from
sakit.
AP Bren. We were talking about
ini kemarin yang bikin kalonik nih
that could be
si
the big potential for AP Bren from the roamer role. But you kind of have a pseudo Kaja with a much faster cooldown on the ultimate. That's the Arlet. You only have to wait 20 to 25 seconds maximum level to have that final slash, and that will give
brosku hampir mati
that leeway. Because the thing with the final slash is it's not a spell that you actually want to use your Purify on, because the animation is too quick that even if you pop the Purify, you're already displaced by your opponent. So in a way, AP Bren have thought of a much better version for Akaja, which, well, that's the reason why they're the world champions, because they think better than we do. And then they swing this X-Borg as the EXP lane. And many teams will argue that X-Borg is strong in the meta game right now just because of the presence of the CC. It actually wins that matchup.
Yeah, we talked about having a possible plan for the Banana split, right? Stopping Banana from being able to rotate around. And I think that's a good read
Sama-sama udah setup turtle. Mau siap-siap tuh.
I mean, we know Banana is one of those players that knows how to find the opportunity.
Banana, awas kamu dicariin tuh. Dicariin ke LTC.
We're gonna have to kind of pay close attention to for the side of AP Brand as the first turtle does spawn in. Some engagement in the middle lane.
Mati. Ogwen. Boom. Pecah pasif nananya. Nice.
Over there from Nana, few forced to go back. And now the last sanity going out.
Mati sih Iratnya, kena angkat.
Violet Requiem goes down, Flap TZ finds Irat. Kyle TZ claims the turtle for AP Bryn.
Flap is in trouble, but already damage has been done. He's actually surviving as the Piranga. It is safe for now. Oh, everybody's just so good at playing right now. Even the RRQ after losing that, they look really good in that team fight. And they really challenge AP Brand to their limits, but in the end, it's only one hero that will be able to snag that last hit on the turtle. It's definitely going to be the AP Brand side.
And hey, we're climbing up that ladder. The pressure's only getting higher, and the room is only getting hotter, but who will be able to maintain that heat? Will it be Indonesia? Will it be the Philippines? This is the last team from the Philippines.
Currently
taken down by Fireflux.
Lagi membara juga nih AP Brand guys. Soalnya BO3 nih. Wah, nggak kena ultinya Ruby Brusco tadi.
Back on the scene, back to the name change, some new additions, and looking stronger than ever. Both teams currently tied 1-1 on the scoreboard, but AP Bryn with that turtle play has a little bit of a slight advantage and a 1,000 gold lead.
Super Marco double laning. This is one of the strengths of the Beatrix, just like the Claude, because of the kits. They have unlimited. Well, you have 4 weapons to switch from, and you have your teammates to really aid that. Even delaying that top lane for Super Marco to have a much better farm compared to Skylar. Technically speaking, there's also a merit for Skylar to go double lane because he has the ultimate, so he can traverse from top to mid lane very quickly. But Arkihoshi are thinking we also need farm on Octa, so we're not gonna sack our mid lane just for our gold lane to have a little bit of extra gold.
Yeah, and speaking of having the advantage, the first kill for the side of AP Bryn did go to Flap TZ on this X-Borg in the XP lane. You mentioned it being a great answer over there to Banana, and he's off to a really good start. Irad, though, able to get a kill of his own inside of the jungle, putting him slightly possibly ahead.
Selisih 1K.
But you are seeing the engagement
Octa,
in the mid
mati
river.
Octa.
Fire missiles going out, pulling Octa back, and Ogwen with the dive in will shut him down, and now Irad trying to join the party.
Ogwen udah ulti.
Trying to get away,
Ogwen
trying to
mati.
expand that distance, last sanity to the back.
Wah, digocek cu.
An inch away, but still getting the kills. Finds Brusco. Ogwen will fall to
Wah, Scalarnya mati.
For the double kill.
Oh my God, Flap! What an amazing way to control this X-Borg. Last Insanity and second skill, the fire stakes still on point. You can see it through the replay. While another clash is happening. Look at that.
Ketarik tadi Scalarnya.
Utilizing the ultimate, and well, everybody does that anyways. But the way that he
double kill kan, baru dia nggak mati cu. Wah, rugi kali hari ini.
With this additional slows and unbelievable performance coming out from Flap TZ. In pure rage, X-Borg is the way to go.
Mati sih. Super Marco-nya nice. Dapat marksman.
Finding Super Marco. That will be the marksman falling for the side of AP Brand. A little bit of a trade back for RRQ Hoshi, trying to even out this scoreboard, not trying to give AP Brand
Xbox sih mengganggu banget sih Xbox.
To both sides, if they want to be able to win this, is the early game. So far, both teams putting out a great fight contest.
Oke, Brusco diangkat. Ambil tower, nice. Scalar awas. Nggak apa-apa. Brusco yang mati. Irat awas Irat. Xbox sakit.
They will lose one of their members, and Flap TZ just casually pops the ultimate. Well, local done ultimate anyways at this point. You're not that scared, and they will try to push up top.
Mati. Scalar. Wah, di dive in gitu guys. Lihat mereka di atas 4 terus. Mati sih Brusco.
Will go ahead and take him down, and the turret will fall as well in hands for AP Bryn.
So we can see the full showcase of how Ireland counters these Purify-based heroes. Because of the local then ultimate final slash, and like I said, even when you pop the Purify on Final Slash, it wouldn't matter because the animation is too quick that you're already displaced. That's exactly what happened to Skylar. Then after the Purify threshold or duration is, because that's a very short duration, like what, 0.5 seconds, 0.2 seconds, that's means
Lihat,
that the
wah Xbox-nya.
stun now
Gerard bisa
coming out
mati nih.
from Ogwen as the Arlot is going to be even more difficult to deal with. They want to go for Flap, but can they take the export this time? No.
Ooh, I mean, Flap definitely going for that MVP. He's looking for it. He's gunning for it. 4-0-0
Duh,
so
kalah
far.
segala posisi RRQ.
From the side of AP Bryn were dealt by him. Super Marco will be able to claim a turret on the bottom side, and AP Bryn able to turn this game into their favor. Now leading by 5,000 gold.
Yeah. Looking really scary and looking
Kalah
really
4
dicey now for RRQ Hoshi.
Bisa nggak ya ini RRQ, guys?
To talk about the late game, because this is still Nathan. Nathan is Nathan. End of the day, if he survives the initial flurry from AP Bren, he's gonna be able to turn it around with Purify as well as the ultimate for a little bit of cleanse, and the damage output from the
Xbox-nya sih, wah ganggu banget sih.
However, AP Bren, what they did to counter the Purify and the cleanse is to just overload with a lot of crowd control, like a lot of crowd control sources. Meaning crowd control sources kind of answers Purify-based heroes because you have low cooldown, reliable knockdowns or stuns or knockups or anything that committing a Purify for one spell, you'll always have to think about
bisa.
should I commit for the Purify just to get out or should I wait for the
Duh, Okta kena ulti. Mati. Kan terus kok mati. Okta bisa mati juga. Xbox-nya wah. Xbox-nya si PR sih, guys. Okta nggak dikasih main.
We'll go ahead and claim a turret for the side of RRQ Hoshi to try and catch up in this economy.
Oh my god, what is Flap on? He's just activated in this game. Really good calculations on this hero. He knows the limits of this hero. Now he has immortality. Remember, in those aggressive moves that he did 9 minutes before, he didn't have the immortality then, and he was already a problem. What more will you ask for from a Flap TZ? He's gonna be destroying RRQ Hoshi. He's gonna be zoning them out, and the positioning was just so perfect. The way that he maneuvers with the footwork on this X-board allows him to dodge some of the spells, but also like reach to the backlines like maximum from his fire missiles. It's really on point with this X-board now.
Yeah, and AP Bryn is definitely leaning on
Nice, dapat 2 tuh. Wah, nice banana. Setidaknya marksman-nya mati. Scalar mati juga. Gak apa-apa. Nice, mati 2. Ogwen-nya bisa mati kah? Oke, Ogwen mati juga. Jangan mati Rat. Oke, 2 tukar 1.
But I don't know if they can really contest this Lord just yet. They may want to kind of wait it out a little bit before taking this fight. But they are off to a really good start. And this is still, I would say, considered a stalemate between both sides.
Yeah.
It's still anybody's game, but some great execution from both teams.
Kalau skelarnya misalnya sih, wah bisa reload cepat sih.
Really surprising AP Bren really off guard, and don't run Wolf King with the ultimate. Connecting onto 3 members or 2 members of AP Bren, quickly followed by Irad with a taunt. So
Scalar so bawah sih.
Combos coming out from RRQ Hoshi.
Yeah, and if you weren't a fan of Indonesia or the Philippines, you definitely should be now. As look at both of these teams fighting their hearts out, trying to claim a spot inside of the grand finals. AP Bryn currently holding that title as the world champions, the best in the world, winning M5 RRQ Hoshi.
Scalar jadi
rising to the occasion with some new
Holy
additions to the
Kristalnya.
team, ready to take the fight and earn that title. Down to the wire, best of 3, game number 3. One team will be sent home today as we are now crossing that 11-minute mark. And both
wah,
teams
praktisinya
ready to
tebel
fight out
kali,
at
guys.
the
Nggak kurang dicicil Okta dia.
Great minion wave control from RRQ Hoshi. There's a slow push in the bottom lane, and then they cleared out up top. So they actually have the advantage now in this Lord Dance.
Ogwen.
Yeah, and there goes the advantage they're looking for. Ogwen rushes in. We'll be able to get out with the mobility provided over
Lihat
from
praktisi.
our lot.
Depan sendiri loh.
Front line being a little bit of a nuisance.
Brusco-nya bisa mati nih. Kan?
Will shut him down with the last insanity. Now needs to get back. He does not have the Frog armor. Look at the Lord though. 25% HP.
Aduh. Iratnya kalau retri guys. Mati dua lagi RRQ. Mati irat sama Brusco. Bisa kah? Sekarang dapat Super Marco? Enggak. Sekarat-sekarat aja.
Of course he's gonna deal the damage, and they really got cooked by this X-Borg, brute force breastplate as well as Borax, and then radiant armor. Now he has got power up against Skylar as well as Octa. This Flap TZ X-Borg is immortal.
Serius, X-Borg-nya PR sih.
12 minutes in 9.2k.
X-Borg-nya Flap TZ
compared to the 6.7k. That's how massive the advantage here is for Flap. And he was definitely the reason why AP Brand recovered in that Lord Dance, because Brusco literally got cooked by his fellow Filipino Flap TZ.
And a big boost from that for the side of AP Bryn, now able to claim the tier 2 turret in the mid lane. Looks like they're going
kalau defense RRQ masih bisa defense guys. Nathan Lilia kuat.
By a lot of turrets and also ahead, like you mentioned, by gold. Now RRQ Hoshi forced to be a little bit more defensive now. Can definitely say AP Brand is in control of this game, but the later this goes, the more of a stalemate it will be, and that's why
udah ambil ambus Lord tuh. Padahal masih 1,5 menit lagi tuh guys.
Maybe somebody to overextend to be able to turn this around, and they're definitely a team that can rise up to the occasion. Now, so far with this lead in favor for AP Bryn, they're gonna have to kind of be patient, wait it out for this next objective. I mean, they do have some great mobility on their side, and Flap TZ to be a little bit of that frontline presence.
Imonya Flap TZ aja belum.
Having a really hard time finding an answer to him. I mean, the man has not died yet. He's 7-0-2. Even when the full team commits on him, not only does he sustain himself, but he finds a way to get a kill alongside it.
Yeah, somebody has to burst down Flap TZ actually. Like, if he wants to go for those plays where he actually utilized first kill in front of RRQ Hoshi, there has to be some sort of punish. Maybe Skylar commits actually at the ultimate just to take out of Flap TZ and just put AP Brand in an awkward spot. But then again, Skylar is kind of scared that there could be an initiation coming up from Ogwin as well as Kyle, so that's also a problem that he has to take care of. But the main problem now, definitely for RRQ Hoshi, is Flap. It's a canon event again for AP Brand.
Yeah, and you're looking at them getting ready, starting to go ahead and take control of these lanes, prepping for this next Lord to spawn in. And RRQ Hoshi looks like they may actually try and go in for the contest. I mean, they are down in terms of economy, but the later this game goes, everybody's going to be getting closer and closer to that late build. You're seeing the Divine Glaive picked up from Skylar. Speaking about late game items, we'll have that magic pin. Now, at the 15-minute mark, Luminous Lord spawns in, and AP Bryn will pull the aggro. Do we see RRQ Hoshi respond? It looks like they will. They are going to go in for the contest.
There it is. The commitment of the Flap. They forced the ultimate already.
Yeah, he is very low. Needs to get out of there.
Aduh, nggak kena ultinya.
Down when a Truncheon picked up by Super Marco, getting ready to take this fight into the Lord pit. Nobody has fallen yet. Lord at about 50% HP. Kyle TZ gonna go ahead and pull it away. A little bit of a reset for some regen on the Lord, trying to delay and do this Lord dance. Some smart move from the side of AP Bryn. They know they want to bait out some of the utility from the side of RRQ Hoshi. Wait for an ultimate to proc that they can profit on to be able to engage.
Well, watch out for AP Bryn's rotation with Super Marco as well as Ogwin. A 1-5 position. Your position 1 and your position 5 going for the conceal play. Might go for that snipe. You gotta be careful if you're Skylar.
Yeah, definitely gotta be careful. AP Bryn still in position to take this. Very patient, and I gotta give credit to
Super Marco-nya nggak view guys.
how they are waiting for the other side.
Nggak kelihatan di map sama sekali. Dia diam terus di ambus itu.
They're just waiting. This is the Lord dance we've been talking about that has been in the Land of Dawn for ages, especially on this level of competition. The Philippines and Indonesia, two of the most competitive
Lore-nya terulur di 17-20 aja terus.
Now fighting it out, raising those banners high. Flap TZ though is going to use that Braga armor, rushing in. Does take some
Irat mati kah? Aduh, Irat mati lagi guys.
That is huge. Is now RRQ Hoshi does not have the retribution.
And when we talked about the position 1 and position 5 for AP Bren, the 1-5 punch from the long bush of AP Bren, it paid off. They waited for 2 minutes. But because of their patience, they took out Irad with that combo. And now,
LTC-nya sekarat, guys.
for AP Bren, but Kyle is low.
Yeah, Banana, he knows. He has the retribution.
Wah, nggak mati LTC-nya.
Super Marco takes him down. 2 members falling for RRQ Hoshi. Still looking at
Oke, reset lore.
Out from the Philippines, AP Bren still in control of this neutral objective, and it looks like they are going in for the take.
Scalar, aduh nggak dapet cuy scalarnya.
Skylar and Irad wondering where did we go wrong. Now need to get out of there, but AP Bren on the chase for
Wah, kalah RRQ, guys.
Takes down Skylar and another will fall as Super Marco with the mega kill will go ahead and shut down Irad, a full wipeout against
kalah guys. Ente.
Again, go straight for the jungler. This time they have Matrix, one of the fastest siegers out there, and there's only Banana that can defend this. Banana going in and chasing Kyle TZ, trying to go for the hero plays, but unfortunately wasn't successful, and now he's taken out. That should be it. AP Bren will take this series for sure.
Ente guys.
Claim this game and keep the Philippines inside of Game of Futures 2024 as they move
Oke, thank you guys ya.
seat in the grand finals.